Hello everybody, my name is Troublmaker, and today I'm casting my third 10v10 match. And if you've been following me for a while, and by a while I mean roughly 3 years, you will know that I do not cast a lot of 10v10 matches, and in fact the only two other 10v10 matches I've ever casted was Reddit versus 4chan in Wargame Airland Battle. And here we are with Reddit versus 4chan in Red Dragon. What has changed? We will see. On our blue side, the lovely, the intelligent, the /r, it's Reddit. On their side, we have I Am Canadian, Sweet Potato, Blue Wake, George S. Patton, hashtag CZ Prem, Root Charles, Devs Advocate, and Triarly. Their all-star, of course, will be George S. Patton, who is actually quite a good player, has been around for quite some time. On Team 4chan, in the red, playing as Pact, we have Team 4chan, and they are represented by Relevant, Kelsa Reinhard, Wagged, Enraged Ewok, Master Baiter, Marto, Zipper1221, Integer, Sharky Ward, and Toast Ghost. So hopefully this match goes a little bit better than the last meeting of these two guys. It just went totally awful for those guys. Getting completely swamped. Yeah, it was brutal. By the way, this is set to be a 1 hour total destruction match. So that's brutal. Yeah. People will run out of units after an hour of gameplay, I guarantee you. And we're off. And so it looks like we are seeing some MiG-29Ms coming here. That's a bomber being used as bait. And one Yak 4-1 goes down, a KWS goes down, and the other one gets away just in time. And gotta slow things down just a little bit here. Kula, what a weird choice that ends up being. And we have a pretty large flank here. Whoa, what are these guys doing? What are these guys doing? Looks like these guys are actually going to try and drive down the middle. Very ballsy, actually. This middle here, of course, has a line of sight, and M1 Abrams is going to try and come in here and intercept. There's only one of them. There's actually not really a lot of tanks to deal with this tank line here. Leclerc's, Leopards, all being pulled from a relatively stationary position to deal with this, and they can actually get on some really good shots here. Oh god, look at this micro. He's actually splitting up for the bombers. Able to get a decent shot off Tunguska, and the Shilka. Okay, so most of the anti-air here is gone. There's still a Sopal involved here. Who's doing this rush, by the way? We're interested in who's right now. Master Baiter, Shaky Ward, somebody else. So this is Marto. So this is what 4chan did last time as well. So there's no real surprise here at all. And we have another Aardvark going to come in here, intercepted by the Yak 141. Yak 141 might overstretch itself, goes down itself. And the bomb doesn't hit anything at all, actually, just hits the side road here. Here comes a Mirage, actually going to drop another bomb. There's still quite a bit of anti-air in this giant clump of heavy tanks. And note, T-72BU is actually a T-90. It's the Soviet version of the T-90. I guess the T-90 is actually the North Korean version of the T-72BU, technically. But constant streams of these heavy bombers are going to limit these numbers. They've captured the FOB. This is actually kind of scary right now. Because the FOB is a place for them to get their resources back. Thunderbolt coming in here, actually too close to get its gun off. And a Tiger Had being rallied in here, just not going to be able to do anything with that. And the P4 PC does in fact go down. There's a Leopard 2 AS coming in here. Bad timing on this rally. The T-72 Moderna is such a good unit here. Might be too good, actually. They might be nerfing it because it's just so darn good. Won't be able to stand up to two Leopard 2 ASs. Aardvark, oh, that's a Nighthawk, sorry. Also known as the Noob Hawk. Going to come in for a big bomb run. And doesn't that kill off that Moderna. But just too many tanks here. These Leopard 2 ASs, very good. But will not stand up to the numbers. The pure, sheer numbers here. Now keep in mind, this is how good 4chan's playing right now. This is like 3 or 4 people's worth of units here. Look at these flanks. They're still even. They're still even. They should be losing everywhere. Bomber. Oh my god, there's so much anti-air here. Every single one of these bombers is just inches away from dying. Everything's getting microed very well here. Moderna's moving in. try and take out any of these Leopard 2A4s they can. Every single one of those kills is like money in the bank, by the way. And here comes some pretty massive rockets. Oh, spiraling out of control as he gets out of line of sight. And it looks like he's going to try and rehabilitate those Leopard 2A4s through some supply management. Yes. This middle flank here, also very important. We'll see a lot of infantry here. Basically, in order to hold this point, you need to have either a mechanized deck, a motorized deck, or even a marine deck. Just high amounts of infantry is what you need here. Each deck has a specialized role. The mechanized is all about the vehicle support. Motorized is all about fast action group, being able to flank and swarm. And the marine deck is mostly about bombers, I guess, and infantry. But each has a specific value here. Now, these Heimatschützen should not be able to stand. They are very, very weak conscript army from the Germans. And once these Granatomet AGS-17s, AGS-17 is actually the weapon they carry. Once they come into position, they should be able to do a lot of damage. Frag rounds are very good against infantry. Very, very good. We'll have to see how this flank goes because it is such a very important flank. Going towards the south, November has been captured by 4chan. That's rather unfortunate because that's actually a reinforcement point as well as a 5-point base. And it's actually one that can attack into Kilo and Lima, which is also very problematic. And just swarms of units coming out here from Integer, who is very successful. It looks like someone was actually either pushed back or just didn't try. I mean, there is some ammo loss on some of these units, but most of them are unused actually. So maybe Charles Murray just not trying hard enough there. Moving back to our also important northern flank here, where the big action is happening. Looks like everything has been pretty well stabilized for Red here, and they're now positioning themselves to try and defend to the death. And the tanks we actually have here are all quite good. Modern, of course, is a very good medium. The T-72A is also a fairly good medium. The BU, sickly heavy tank. Looks like planes will be the strategy here, going for those Jaguar A's. And we have the Superintendent. So these are going to be our SALH, as well as the Noob Hawk as well. SALH are an anti-tank missile. They are snipers and psycho killers. They trade very, very cost effectively. And look at that Tornado ECR coming up to try and deal with these radar-based systems. But there are a lot of infrared systems, which could spell trouble for that ECR, which is so far dodging like a boss. Hasn't gotten hit by a single one. And here comes the Jaguar A coming in again. Not really getting a target here. And great use of tanks here by George S. Patton. I said he'd be the celebrity, and definitely is. He has a total surround of these guys. He has the Leopard 2ASs in the south. He has the Keelers in the north. These Keelers in cover are in a great position. These Keelers not in cover are actually in quite a bad position right now. He needs to pull these Keelers back and keep these ones firing. And, I mean, they have to be aware this is a bad situation for them right now. In the past, when they did this, they brought a command with them, and they just took the point and stuck to it. They don't have a command with them right now, so that's going to be a lot of problems for the future. In this flank here, it looks like 4chan actually very successful in pushing back a lot. Looks like some napalm has been deployed, and the Matschützen is going to continue moving in. Only one of them left in here, though. But they do have a little bit of a foothold on this point, so we have to look back to that point in the future. Towards the middle, however, looks like a small pushback by the Heimatschützen. These Granatomets have just been so prevalent and powerful in this particular matchup. Moving back down south, we have basically a small skirmish on this mountain. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but this mountain is actually very important. If you can stage some infantry at these little tunnels, and yes, they are in fact tunnels, units do come out of these, you can do very well. You can pick off units with very few infantry and do a ton of damage. And cheap infantry are going to be very good here, specifically because losing them will be very cost effective. So far, however, Reddit has been very successful in defending that. MiG-21M going to come here and go after the Jagers or the Sappers. That's the question. And it's the Jagers actually going to go for those Jagers. Jagers did get pulled out, not quite in time. It does lose a few units here. And oh my god, we have the rocket artillery firing. Is it rocket? No, it's actually just regular tank fire. Oops. Mistral getting some shots off on an anti-air unit. And this is becoming kind of a bad place right now for Team 4chan. It was possibly one of their great strategical moments, but it's now transforming into a little bit of a problem for them because all these units will eventually die from attrition. That is, these bombers coming in and just doing a lot of damage. this fob can't last forever, and whenever they try and go for the fob, that forward operating base, the FOB, whenever they go for it, they're out in the open and very vulnerable. Super Entard coming in. Ooh, gets shot down. We have these F4Es coming in here with those electromagnetical shots, which are crazy somehow. Getting some kills. There's only one anti-air unit left here, so that's Sopel. And now he's gone. And everything is theirs for the taking. Leclerc's coming in here from George's patent. Loving on those heavy tanks. Actually, sorry, there's some Strazalas here. Strazala. But Leclerc's also able to pick off them. So this is very soon going to get very cleaned up. Paw Tiger coming in here. Very, very powerful recon unit. He's actually just using these F4ES to try and bait out any more anti-air. But it looks like that's just not happening. This one Strazala not really doing anything. Just going to get shotted at. Leclerc going to move very close in. He's actually being forced to move some of these units, it looks like. Oh. What could happen here? There's two tanks versus the one. One tank goes down. The other one will, in fact, stay clean for now. So as we continue on here, we'll note that Reddit is about to basically reset the match. A lot of units being cleaned up here. And as you can notice by the scoreboard, George S. Patton is doing very, very well for the team. Basically your team leader right now. There's Blue Wake. And after cleaning up all these heavy tanks, he'll be much in the lead and basically regain this point, regain this fob, and regain possibly the game. However, things are not going well for Reddit on many other fronts. On this central front, for example, we'll know that Mott Schützens, along with these Granato AGSs, have actually pushed back the Hangback Schützens. There are still some Kralsturm Jagers here, as well as some Panzergrenadiers, which are also very strong infantry. But we need a constant flow of infantry, and that's kind of what Speed Tail's been doing here. He's got 4 more infantries coming in here to try and grab this middle base. Things could not be going worse. There's actually tanks in here as well supporting. Artillery does stun all these units, and Panzergrenadiers all getting wiped out any second now. There we go. By combinations of Mott Schützens and tanks. And what do we have carried in here? I'm going to go with Panzergrenadiers. Maybe they'll just die and we won't see. Please let them go. Release, please. Oh my god, you're riding on the edge here. Actually, not getting fired on at all there. Very unusual. And looks like he's just going to slide on through with nothing happening. That was highly unusual and highly unexpected. In fact, not even going to deploy them in the middle. They're actually being deployed to another front, completely different front. Unusual. Literally sacrificing this middle base for basically no reason at all. These units looks like they will in fact be getting away, but getting away to where exactly? And they are Jagers actually, by the way. More units coming in here. We have 6 Marder 1A1s, and it might be just too late. If he can move up these Mott Schützens in time, he can actually just completely stop these Marder 1A1s in their tracks, kill them before they can even unload. And he is actually moving up these Mott Schützens, so to see Panzergrenadiers getting deployed. Very, very solid infantry choice here, and we'll have to walk a little bit. We're going to try and creep on the edge. Not quite in time these Mott Schützens. In fact, he has to pull up more units here. 27 MIM, going to do a little bit of supporting action here. The Marder 1A1s should not be able to stand up to these T-72 MIMs, given the close range. But having said that, if there's not proper targeting, they can get sliced pretty easily in half, and that might actually be what's happening here. There's also a Keeler on the side here doing a little bit of supporting action, as it's just kind of fire from everywhere. We also have artillery being deployed. That actually could be a bit of a game changer, that artillery. Artillery, very good at killing things, but also very good at reducing morale. And in this game, when a unit's morale jumps down to nothing, as in panicked, they effectively become useless and get swamped very easily. So we'll have to see how far he can go with that. Ooh, some MTLBs moving into a weird position here. Marder 1A1 actually trying to push him away. Looks like 4chan will actually grab this point. And that's actually a big deal, because this is actually a contested zone that usually goes towards blue. And so Reddit will be playing from behind, I guess. They've had a pretty rough start. This could be a rough middle as well. However, more Panzergrenadiers are going to continue moving on in here. Worth noting, we just saw a cleanup on Isle 3, and they have actually re-grabbed this alpha zone. So they're back in. However, Delta has completely fallen, and this is a big deal. We have Riflemen here, we have BMP-2 Ober 1986 APC inside his house, as well as Napalm Prime, this Rifleman. This point is firmly in control of 4chan. There's actually not even much on this front either. Quebec being grabbed here by a single UAZ with basically no defenses here. 4chan playing phenomenally. Planes on this place, oh my god, this is such a terrible place. This is a reinforcement zone, and if all your units are coming through there, that means that bombing here will almost always give decent results, and that's what's happening here. Just non-stop bombardment on these tanks. Now, if he can get some supplies in there, he could use that to his advantage. But back to the middle, Leopard 2, firing up on a KPZ T-72. Should be able to get this kill pretty easily. And we have a little small insertion of sappers on the south. So refocusing that flank completely, which should stretch the force a little bit more. However, this area here is pretty firmly controlled 4chan right now. Just so many Mott shoots in here. The Panzer Grenadiers just not in high enough numbers. The support units are actually just too close to the battle and are actually very vulnerable to being sniped off right now. And here's what's going to happen. KPZ, 70 Keeler, moving in the range of that Mott shoots, and we should see a pick-off really, really soon here. Moving down to that southern boring flank, it's just an artillery heaven right now. Lots of clump units here. He's just kind of poking and prodding with the Spetsnaz EMF, trying to see where things are. And if you go to the vision red, well, no, they do in fact see some stuff. So they are getting some corrected shots here on some pretty nasty units. The ATGM Milan F3 is not one that's as easily replaceable as one would hope. Most of the flanks are looking pretty even right now, though. It's the middle flank right now that's really our big focus, and that's mostly because 4chan is killing it. They've almost removed all infantry. There's actually another martyr coming through here, and he might have to run through fire because napalm has been dropped on top of this reinforcement point. Rather unfortunate for them. It's kind of strange actually for 4chan to not be harassing this. They could be moving infantry through here, up the mountain, and through here. And there's actually a town here which makes it so insanely easily harassable compared to most of these. Alas, they've just been using this to keep engaged. And no, there is a mirrored reinforcement point over here. Nowhere near as close. It's actually quite well protected compared to the Reddit one, which is just, it's basically got nothing that can shoot an infantry, except for things that are rallying out. And this constant stream of Mott shootings is just killing off the constant stream of Panzer Grenadiers. They've been completely pushed out of the town, and we should see a command pop up here relatively soon. A-10 Thunderbolt coming in. You should not do anything. PPZR Grom actually going to get a good shot to stun, and the plane goes down, and that was close. Almost landed on our poor little Grons. Scary, I know. So we have a lot of rocket artillery being fired off. Is this correct? The BM-27 again. Look at all these fobs. Of course he can do rocket artillery with that many fobs. Where is he rocket artillerying to is a big question. Very long range, and looks like he's trying to stop some of these tanks in their tracks. Oh my god, these cluster bombs so good. Akula coming in here. There's not a ton of anti-air here. Looks like the Chaparral might be able to get him. Gets one shot off. Is he going to stay in range? Ooh, just misses there. The Kula pulling back. Kula's, of course, are super, super, super expensive, and he does not want to lose them. Leclerc's are going down left and right, and, you know, the scores have maintained relatively similar. No matter how good 4chan players look like they're doing, the actual scores remain similar. Oh my god, MiG-29 goes down for nothing. Raphael's chasing off the Serbia, a brand new plane. MiG-21 BS getting a rocket attack. This is one of these weird ones. MiG-21 BS has rockets on it, and very good at sniping infantry, and has such a ridiculously niche role, but it's also super cheap. So there's also that. And this one flank I was talking about earlier that basically had nothing has mostly been cleaned up. There's an ATGM Milan, which is completely empty. There's another one over here, which has actually got 9 shots left on it because of 2 squads. And could get cleaned up here by the BVI if the line of sight good, but when he goes up this mountain, I don't think so. I think he might actually be able to get away here. This is kind of trippy to me, don't you think? And look what these guys are doing. Climbing up the mountains without claws. And it looks like, yeah, they'll be able to get away pretty easily. So they're all repositioned properly. So yeah, this flank here, Golf, is getting worse and worse. Constant napalm being dropped here, lots of bombs. They've kind of pushed them out of the middle, so the focus has gone from there. And, you know, the size of the 4chan army in the middle just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And the size of the Reddit is getting smaller and smaller. And this is going to snowball very, very quickly. Now, this Martyr 1A1 in an excellent position right now to do that awesome amount of damage. Artillery fire going to go ahead and miss. I think that's actually mortars firing here, as the Grendel Mat is actually going to go ahead and rush through and try and charge down those sappers. Now he's throwing napalm on top of napalm. And worth noting, these sappers here are firing on this Granatomat are actually doing friendly fire on their own units as well. Yeah, that's game mechanics for you. The only person who's actually safe right now is this LSTR-40, who's, you know, doesn't have that much fire to worry about. Sappers should go down. There's only 4 of them left. They have done a lot of damage. He's trying to do a little bit of micro to try and save them. One squad is almost down. He's got to get them back, got to get them all healed up. And like a big key to infantry strategy, and neither of them are really doing this, but a big key for newer players is when your infantry are low on hit points, you pull them back and you resupply them. Get them back on their health and get them moving up. Because you want really high vetted infantry, because they're super, super effective. These medium range infantry are not as good. They don't do as much damage. And neither player really pulling back. In fact, most are just playing super aggressive. Do we have more infantry coming up for 4chan? Looks like yes, we have 40 more infantry coming out. And here comes a block raider so why would you choose this unit? I'm a big fan of specialization. If you're picking an anti-raider unit, pick an anti-raider unit. Don't pick one that's kind of mixed up. You're just going to lose a lot of money. We have a THS MI82T moving overhead and getting completely picked off. A little bit sloppy there on deployment. And yeah, Mirage actually going to evac because there's nothing for him worth killing here. There's only 6 infantry, and they're going to get very easily swarmed because it looks like Team 4chan has fallen a little bit behind on their infantry deployments. Now, what do we have happening here? Looks like infantry are going to be deployed around these mountain areas. Very interesting. This is going to give them a great position for anti-air, flying overhead, and they might also be able to get some decent scouting here. Cavalry scouts have been deployed, however. They have this really ridiculous Dragoon 3 launcher here, which is insanely good at picking off tanks, and which is really weird for a recon squad. So there you have it. T-80B flying in the Hizao here. And there's 2 of them actually. That's a little bit crazy. We actually have a call for defense here from Blue Waki. If he can get a ATGM plane in here, he can pick off these T-80Bs quite heavily, and his team will be very happy to take those points. But it looks like the T-80Bs are going to get into cover for now and should survive decently. The push is still happening on the reinforcement point, so that's kind of a problem for them right now. On the middle area, it looks like Reddit has pushed back a little bit, and there's kind of a Dota kind of thing here. In Dota, a very common tactic is to let the enemy push towards you. And the goal of letting the enemy push towards you is that you have more defensive capabilities and you're closer to your healing point. So you gain more advantage overall. That could be what's happening here. They might be actually letting Team Reddit push towards them, just so that they can get stronger reinforcements, more units, and evac units for supplies. Or maybe I could just be making this up. Maybe they're just not focusing particularly well. But we did get a very sickly artillery barrage, got a huge stun on these Panzer Grenadiers, and actually reducing the numbers in ridiculous amounts. 1 whole squad goes down, and we see even more infantry coming in to try and finish them off. And rocket artillery is going to fire on this area here, actually going to stall the reinforcement point here, and getting a decent amount of damage done, gets 1 of the vehicles down, actually, and the rocket artillery does continue getting lots of stuns. Everything here is getting slowed as this 4chan infantry approach will continue on. Losing a lot of these Lister 40s so far. I just can't think why they wouldn't pull back. Actually, artillerying his own unit there. That's brutal. And there's just so much Reddit infantry coming up here. It's hard to say that they could keep that. On our northern flank, we'll note lots of chaparrals firing on lots of air units here. And whoa, we actually have a push at the T-80B. Now this is a different T-80B than the one over here. So that's 5 T-80Bs. They've actually grabbed the northern fob here, which is devastating. These are heavy tanks with a fob. Do you understand how hard that is to kill? One more shot, actually, and that one's dead. These T-80Bs have not yet joined the fray. They will need to move up to join the fight. The fob has been, in fact, reclaimed by the Abrams, but there's a lot of tanks coming in here, and this pressure point has just continued the entire game. Been very, very hard for them to keep. Raphael flying overhead over the anti-air units, and he gets away. Other Raphaels are coming in here as well. KWS, they want to get this K-52 as an anti-radar Russian helicopter. Insanely expensive, very niche, but dear God, when that niche happens, it is so good. Looks like T-80B is finally getting used in action here against these Abrams. The Abrams is kind of the king of the United States tank force. The Leopard 2 is comparable to the Abrams in terms of use here. I don't see how they can possibly defend this. There's just not enough tanks here. They have more coming up, but that's not more than they need. Worth noting, there's actually a Revedka creeping across the border of the map the entire time. Dear Lord, the patience it takes to do that. BMP3 is moving in here for the infantry. He's actually deployed the motor stroke. He's out in the open. This is a good opportunity to move forward because he's got the T-80B being targeted by the Leopard 2A4. BMP3 is going to move back a little bit. He should try and start unloading, though. He needs to fire on this Leopard 2, and we see a flank happening here. Blue Rocky trying to move up. He needs to get out of this. He needs to get in line of sight, though. And one more Abrams does in fact go down, and Jaguar, hey, getting some sexy kills off here, but takes the target and is in fact going to go down and crash twice. 2 crashes. Wargame moving up here. They have a Mi-28. This is a Saklos end rocket launcher. Looks like they have the rockets turned off. Is that correct? I think it is. Never mind. He's actually got them left on. The rocket pods are really good at killing infantry. The Saklos rockets are very good at killing tanks. And generally speaking, you want to use those rocket pods for stunning vehicles or tanks, or you want to use them for killing lots of infantry. A-10 Thunderbolts coming up here for trying to do a little bit of a gun run on some of these tanks. They can be very effective, but today, not so much. Superintendent also going to go down. Lots of planes going down here from Reddit. Playing very sloppy on that front, and I think they're entering panic mode right now, because for the second time in this game, they're about to lose the alpha point. They have 2 commands in this location, but the T-72 is actually here, stopping reinforcement, and now whatever tanks they have on the ground is all they have. They have nothing else they can use here. Yak-141's patrolling the sky. There's a Tornado ECR here, providing ECR, which is kind of like your air vision, as well as anti-radar support, and actually firing on what there? I don't know. But yes, there's some Flügelfass here. There's infrared infantries. You're going to get some decent shots off from the Yak-141s, it looks like. But yes, probably going to turn off his weapon, I hope. Just so he doesn't get spotted out and die. Actually getting pushed on 2 flanks right now. There's not a ton here. It's Falskum Jagers, which... Actually, that should be enough. Falskum Jagers, very good. And the tank ball continues pushing up. Keep in mind, heavy tank tactics in the post-patch are very, very good. I use them myself. Most people do. Flügelfass going to try and fire on here. Only has machine guns, so it can only deal with the Motos Jibaki. Can't deal with the tanks, ever. It would be horribly inefficient. And they are wiped out. There's a Clark here, TPC Fuchs, and looks like another Clark that needs health, I guess. And a Leopard 2 that needs health, so lots of supplies needed. Marie is not exactly using them to their maximum effectiveness right now. Slow creep here, the Clark is pulling back, the TVC is pulling back, and the command is pulling back, so not letting anything die this time around. Yeah, as well, this point here is actually beginning to napalm the crap all of a sudden, so suddenly these 2 Falskum Jagers are not good enough. In the middle flank, we see that the push is continuing both ways, kind of stalemating. We have lots of Panzer Grenadiers here with ridiculous numbers of Motos Turenses and Granatomats facing them off. On our southern flank, kind of been the way it has been the whole game. In fact, these 2 units have been alive the entire game. No one really wanted to push over this mountain. Everyone kind of happy to stick to their guns. This Byong Kraushi tackled down this Igla very easily, but chooses not to. And yes, most of the other fronts have stayed relatively the same. F4Es, oh my god, this one has completely changed. They've actually pushed into this line here, and T-80 BVs charging forward. all these Leclercs are doomed right now. There's just so many heavy tanks here. The T-72 BUs as well. The Leclerc actually got a kill there. There's also an ATGM squad here. A second Leclerc goes down. And, yeah, this could be dangerous. This is a dangerous flank to lose. If you lose this area here, they can tackle into your reinforcement line by going right here. That's it. I know I screwed up for a second there. I'm sorry. And look at all these KA-52s in the air. They have infrared, so they can fire back, and they do. There's just so many groupings of them. There's also a Roland here with its missiles off, so that's rather interesting. And here comes a HAP. That's an anti-air helicopter facing off against an anti-air helicopter. KA-52 firing off. Looks like it's going to be one of its final infrareds. He will probably get this, and oh, the Celtic's coming in. Now he knows he's got to run. He can't lose this. The KA-52 is really expensive. Like, it's not a cheapie. And OSA's coming in to try and defend this. This is just, like, small groupings units being microed very effectively. OSA gets a good hit there, gets one of the Celtics, and will in fact push it back. This is a lot of anti-air. This should be a signal to Reddit, like, do not bomb this area. There's way too much anti-air units. So moving back to what we consider to be our main battle theater, which is up here in the north. Worth noting, the point is still neutralized. Tanks are still moving up. The reinforcement point for 4chan's right here, and they move right in and take in. Now, this should be a 4chan reinforcement point. Sorry, a Reddit reinforcement point. But it's a 4chan one right now. They've got both of them, and this has been very, very deadly. And so these tanks are getting absolutely crushed from all angles. We have a Super Cobra in the air. That's rather interesting. The Super Cobra has infrareds and it has SACLOs, so it can hit this plane, which is directly next to it, as well as all these tanks. It is very expensive, very fast, very effective. Strela will look like shoot down, possibly? Yes, okay. So this flank is slowly getting pushed more and more. More units are coming in, more helicopters, some more infantry looks like. Maybe a little bit of anti-tank units. This T-72M2 WLK, don't let the name fool you. This is a very, very powerful tank. It's 130 points or so, and it's a Polish Death Knight. Looks like it is a Death Knight today in the sense that it died horribly. The FOB here, I feel like it's being underused. There's lots of units here that need supplies that are not getting supplied properly. And here comes another helicopter sliding on in, but there's a chaparral here to defend, and one shot off. And ooh, I missed. Maybe 3? There we go. Helicopter is in fact down in sauce. Michael Bay does not have shit on me. A T-52 to DYNA-1. Really? Really, guys? Do you really want to kill me? I'm calling it the Dyna 1. From now on, it's the Dyna 1. You can screw yourselves, Eugen, and your super ridiculous names. Looks like Wagged has in fact had to leave the game. Yes, he's winning, so he's not leaving because he's a loser. Small amounts of artillery killing off an anti-tank infantry squad. Leopard 2A4 getting pretty ballsy. You're going to move into the woods here. It's a good play right now because there's actually not that much in here, but it's ballsy because there could be an infantry in there waiting for him. There's not, but there could be. One tank kill for him so far. He gets the recon unit, and he might just kind of push on through here for the infantry. Ooh, T-80B in the distance, getting a shot off. Could he get the second? Misses on the second, but took a nice bit of health points off of the unit there. In the middle here, note there's been a constant bombing harassment on this reinforcement point, just trying to slow down his infantry as much as possible. And his own infantry have been pushing forward and killing things, and Reddit has not had room to contest this at all. The southern part of this has been all but cleaned up. And looking at the southern flank here, remember, this was a very hot boarded area. We're seeing that he's now pushing into this wooded area, and he might be able to actually cut off the reinforcement point relatively soon. Like, this is 43 Haebyongs versus 36 VDV-90s. This should be over very quickly, and artillery from a weird angle, mortars hitting these VDVs, and it looks like the VDVs will die without even having to fire a bullet at the Haebyongs. They'll just die to fire in the sky. But yes, very scary. Look at all these K1s being deployed here. The K1 is a Japanese heavy tank, and you know, it's another one of these little death machines. And there's 3 of them being deployed at various angles, probably trying to push back some of these tank numbers. Moving back to our northern flank, worth noting, this whole area has now been taken over by 4chan. All of it. Every single bit. So now they're also having Echo being contested a little bit by some infantry here. This wide angle is very, very bad for Reddit right now. They have units in a small clumped area, and they're getting hit from so many different flanks. PTR Conquerors are in close range, not the best place for them. They want to be in cover, they want to be in towns. And actually Reddit pulling ahead with their tanks, that's not going to give them a lot of room for micro. And they are pulling them back, I guess realizing that's a mistake. Leopard 2A4 are going to try and move up a little bit. But yes, looks like they're all gone. A delayed mortar here, trying to get that anti-tank infantry. And 4chan is going to continue pushing up slowly, burning through the resources of Reddit. Kind of saying like, you know, thanks for the cash, dog. I don't know why this guy's coming up here, but he is. And there's double chaparrals here. T-80Bs firing on tanks and not getting shots that he needs. In fact, losing both of them. And now the chaparral will fire on the vehicle here. It's got lots of ammunition, so there's not a problem there. And both of these helicopters will in fact go down. Simultaneous crashes. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Just like the latest Turtles movie. BMP-3s have anti-tank weapons, which makes them quite potent. The downside, they are not all that hard to kill for these heavy tanks. And yeah, don't ignore them, because they just gotta kill. Craziness. The M1 Abrams, so it's the M1A1 HA Abrams. Gonna get a few shots off some tanks, but slowly the surround is getting worse and worse, and less tanks are showing up for Team Reddit right now. And there's actually a southern flank here. We have the Twardy, which is this crazy, weird, funny unit that actually does pretty darn well because it can actually hit those heavy tanks, whereas most units of this vehicle category can't hit those heavy tanks. Interesting fact, if you have an inefficient weapon, it will not fire. It will choose not to fire because it will never do damage. And the Twardy getting lots of great shots off on these rise patents and getting rid of basically all of them. These forces are getting pushed back further and further and further, and there's soon going to be nowhere for them to run. This point could actually very easily go to 4chan very, very soon. And honestly, if this point goes to 4chan, they might as well just tap out because that is a scary, scary situation. Spetsnaz VMF in a very sneaky place here. Providing any kind of vision at all, I wonder? Looks like a little bit. Seeing a few tanks here. A couple of heavy tanks in the fob. And lots of bombers coming into this middle area here. We have I Am Canadian tapping out. That's from Team Reddit. Because Team 4chan has in fact pushed deeper and deeper and deeper into Reddit territory, almost getting to this reinforcement point, which is basically surrounded by this point. I mean, there could be an easy flank over here. But 4chan going for more direct approach, gone for this great tank-style play, mass tank, micro, multi-flank attacks, has a complete surround on this command, which only has a single Leopard 2AS. Is that a single one? Yes, it is. Single Leopard 2AS defending it. They've recaptured the empty fob. This fob here has been resupplying units left and right, and yeah, we could see a full-on tap-out pretty soon, because this tank bulb is pretty darn unstoppable. We have lots of these Tiger Heads being wiped out here. These guys have rocket pods, which can stun, and they have those awesome Sacklow's rockets, which can rape tank babies. And we have some of these MTLB Strzelecki 10Ms coming in here to try and rebuke these. If they can get rid of these Tiger Heads, they can continue their push and continue stomping on poor old Reddit. T-72S should be more than enough to take care of these Leopard 2A4s, specifically with these Twardys, these T-75s, and this Dyna here, and yes, both of them will go down. We have mortar fire, which is rather unusual against tanks, but in this particular case, it looks like it did a little bit of damage. Very, very panicked, and it's a weapons malfunction of some sort. Leopard 2AS getting away, but now this reinforcement point does belong to 4chan, so they can just rally what they need right here, which is going to be very convenient for this last little push here. Tiger Head going to run right into the Tunguska. Ooh, this could not go any worse. First shot off, gets pretty good solid hits, and yes, this is the air route. So now they can suddenly get out the MiG-29 fleet to take care of the Tiger Heads. George, as Patton calling it quits, he's the team captain, and looks like we should see an end to Reddit very, very soon. With that reinforcement point gone, they can conquer Echo. With Echo gone, they can conquer Foxtrot. And really, they almost got Lima already, so there's not really much else to talk about there. in the middle area here, they've kind of swamped on through. 4chan, very good. Completely different set of players, or I should say almost a completely different set of players here playing from last time. And they've done exceptionally well in playing against Reddit here. And lots of artillery fire being smashed all over the place, hitting a lot of units here. This is our rocket artillery. Looks like it's actually a corrected shot, so we'll be doing excessive amounts of damage to anything it hits. The exciting flank continues, however. The tank ball is just continuing to steamroll in here. They're actually just on the move fast position right now. Tunguskas are pretty much the only things being micro here in any manner. There's really not enough units here. There's 3 M1 Abrams here, all getting raped by medium and heavy tanks, as well as some air units. And yeah, you don't see M1 Abrams die that fast. Not in a standard game. And, ooh, the IL-102. I feel like this is salt on the wounds, because I don't consider this to be a good unit. I consider this to be a very terrible unit. But here he goes. He's going to bomb the fob? No, he's bombing where there's no units at all. But dear God, it does have a pretty good splash zone. It's just, it's so expensive for so little that it does. Another one of Team Reddit member has left as the massive push continues, and maybe we could have some Soviet music in the background as the ball of tanks continues to move in ridiculous numbers against Team Reddit. And maybe in that time that the Soviet national anthem is playing, we could think of the fallen comrades from Team Reddit, who, despite large amounts of upvotes, lots of karma, were unsuccessful today. The ball of tanks, courageous and sufficient, with support and indignance, were able to crush through everything that Reddit had to offer, and there wasn't a thing they could do about it. We have a napalm blocking the way, but it is just a scratch, Shakespeare would say. The command is sitting in the town. The players who were controlling these units have all but left, and all that is left is for this single helicopter to fly overhead, get shot down, but to reveal, nay, there is in fact a friends group here, a command. All of this command is gone now. We could see another command showing up in Echo, and they might be able to grab another air route, an even closer air route, and Jaguars are coming in with anti-radar forces, going to go ahead and do the automatic evac right away, trying to get off just a few free harassing shots to do whatever they can to survive. But when we look at the scoreboard, the score says it all. For 4chan, we have 29,000 points. For Reddit, we have 27,140 points. We have a ridiculous number of Caesars and Marses being deployed here. Being deployed against a flank that is not even pushing. They're using them casually to fight off a different flank. All the while, this ball, this mess, this ugliness, this filth of Russian power continues to push forward and dominate. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Troublmaker. I want to take this time to thank you guys from Reddit and 4chan for organizing and playing another one of these matches. And I would like to thank you, the viewer, for joining me in watching this epic 10v10 match against two communities. Better luck next time, Reddit.